Hey everyone, good evening. Welcome to episode 21 of Axanar Confidential. I know some of you have been here for 3 nights in a row. So kudos to you. So I'm not surprised we're probably going to be a little light. Everyone's got a little Axanar Confidential fatigue. But I see some of our regulars are there. James, Dega Outlaw. Hey, how you doing? Old Code, how are you? Lee Sully. How are you all doing? I hope you guys are all doing great tonight. So tonight, there's Val. There's Silver Bullet. Good to see you guys. Sorry, Val. Sorry to see that you're sick and miserable. Well, Silver Bullet, you missed last night. Last night was awesome. That was a great event. So happy. Agent 31. Hey, how are you? Last night was awesome. Stogie is on cloud 9. He's so happy. I tell you, besides the relief of making the money, and so he can get his and his mom's well fixed, so they have running water again. He's just so impressed with everyone. I don't think he's here yet, but he was just so happy that everyone pitched in and came out for him, and he couldn't believe all those big donors we had, which was fantastic. So everyone, thank you so much for last night. So I am here with one of my favorite people in the entire world. He's been a regular on hardcore worker in Axanar for 5 years now, and he is the number one redneck on the Axanar staff. Lee Quisenberry, my brother from a Arkansas mother. How are you, my friend? The king, and Lee is not only the king of Axanar in Arkansas, he is also like the barbecue sauce king, along with his brother Michael, right?
Yeah, it's true. I've got Michael on there. He's watching us right now, so he's going to be judging everything that I say.
Well, Michael, hey, how are you doing? It's good to see you too. And just so you know, so now I've got some of the things you're seeing are some of the designs that Lee, as an artist, has done for us over the past 5 years. He's done a number of patches here. He's done the Ares Studio logo is his design. As his favorite is this one, the USS Hercules, I think. Didn't you get one of these patches signed by JG when he was down for Axanar?
I sure did.
Yeah.
And I actually signed one for him so that he could have my autograph.
You did the Axanar logo. You did that one too.
Yes.
And you did the USS Ares construction team logo. So we're going to have those going round and round. But you've also done a number of consoles and panels for the bridge, haven't you?
Yeah, several iterations. Over the last 5 years or so, we've been through different iterations and different script changes and such, and so it's there are tons and tons and tons and tons of versions of those. And I've enjoyed every bit of it. It's been a lot of fun. You get to try to make, you're trying to make new Star Trek, but that's familiar, and at all at the same time trying to appeal to your fans and all that. It's been a fun process, and that was one of my favorite parts of this.
Yeah, because the screens have gone through a lot of iterations, right? And we made major changes, turning them all black here recently. That was I think that was Dana's suggestion, or was that yours? I think we kind of we talked about that at Axacon, didn't we?
Yeah, that was one of the things. I believe it had something to do with the camera work. We went from black with, light, high contrast colors for text and everything, and then we went full 180 degrees the other side of the gamut and went with colored backgrounds and light text or dark text, and then right back around to black text with a little bit more of a uniform font color. Like the typesetting is all uniform from panel all the way up through the screens at the top of the bridge, which I don't know that we could have even foreseen that without actually visiting the bridge. That was the big thing for me, is a lot of this was not, the only thing I had to go on was TOS episodes and my imagination. And then when you guys invited me to come through when I was coming through Atlanta just to kind of see everything on the bridge, that's when it all made sense. And then after talking to Dana and a few of the other guys like Alex and some of the other people that were working on the bridge, it was like, now it all makes sense. And let's go with something that's uniform, that's easily picked up on camera, but that looks realistic. Everything has a function on the bridge, and that was one of the hardest goals, was trying to make everything like make sense from a tactical perspective, a science perspective, all that good stuff. So it really came together when you have the magic of the bridge. I think it really hit me when JG and Gary were doing those line readings when we were there at Axicon, and that's when it, like, your heart starts racing, like, oh, this is real, this is crazy. So
well, I hope you're putting aside the first weekend in October to be here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For the shoot, because that'll be awesome. Well, and at the very least, we're going to shoot JG on that bridge. But I think and shoot a bunch of stuff for the trailer. That's really important to me too, is doing the trailer. But yeah, so that's great. So what else? What else besides the patches and the panels have you done? You've done, well. We show here some CD artwork, which actually I don't know if you read the article that's on the Axanar website about the guy who did his jacket. Did you see that one?
I haven't.
Go to the So go to the Axanar website, and okay. There's a blog article there in the Captain's Log section, and it's a guy, I believe it's Richard. And what he did was he basically took his leather jacket and put all the Axanar patches on it. But he took this design, the one that is from the CD, and he had that printed on a patch. I
see that.
Yeah, and he put that on the back, like in the big center in the back. So
I've got fans.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
That's awesome.
Isn't that great? Yeah, I know. So yeah, and I don't know if I told you. Well, I'm going to tell you off camera because it's going to be a surprise. But I'll send you the photos. But I've got something planned for Star Trek Las Vegas next year after Axanar is out. We've got a little project brewing, and you may want to. I bet you're going to want a hand in designing that element. I'm going to send here. Let me find you. I will send you some photos here via text.
Sounds good.
Well, so tell us about your barbecue sauce. I mean, because I love your barbecue sauce, even though I've never had it. I mean, I love the whole idea that you are making barbecue. You are in the barbecue sauce business. You are a man of so many talents. Because you also manage you manage the tech on our website now.
I was just about to say, you guys are. We used to be AxanarProductions.com, and now it's simply Axanar.com because Alec was like, hey, check this out. Axanar.com is available. I'm buying it now. How quick can you switch our website over? So, yeah, that's
exactly.
Those are the hidden things that I help out with that a lot of people take advantage of and don't even know. But, the barbecue business. Man, where to start?
Oh, by the way, I got to tell you that Crystal just walked downstairs, and she's wearing. I have one of these shirts. It's a Greg Norman shirt, right? And it's green. And I put it on the other day, and of course I'm shooting on a green screen. So all of a sudden, it's like this whole thing was translucent. So like, if Crystal steps in front of the green screen wearing a green shirt, will she be naked on camera? Just so.
The world has to know, but
I don't think the world wants to know. I don't think I want the world to know. How's that?
That's right. I was going to say
they'd get a kick out of it, but
our weatherman does that from time to time. It's pretty funny, but he'll like be missing a whole tie, like
right, yeah, because they wear yesterday. Even my blue shirt yesterday, there was a little issue over here. There, you can see it's kind of funny. Anyway, I interrupted you. We were talking about the website.
No problem. So like in 1989, I won't start from the beginning, but I'm gonna fill in about 30 years of history real quick. In 1985 and 1987, my dad went to Ireland. He was a world champion in barbecue, and this is before barbecue became like a major league sport, kind of like drone racing or some of these like esports and stuff have caught
Right.
on. Barbecue's mainstream like that now too, and this was back in the pioneering days. Memphis in May wasn't a huge thing. It was like they all cooked under one tent in the same parking lot at the Orpheum Theater in Memphis, and now it's like a multi-million dollar deal with teams from all over. So Dad was a pioneer, and my brother and I have been cooking barbecue since we can remember. The first trophy I ever got was I was 7 years old in Nashville, Tennessee. Michael was 5. We got 5th place in ribs cooking against our.
So it wasn't a little league trophy. It was a barbecue trophy.
Yeah, I had little league trophies, and they were always like for participation or picking plants in the outfield or whatever. And I loved baseball when I played, but we actually competed against our dad. We were going to be the world's youngest barbecue team, and when we got there, there was a 6-year-old and a 4-year
Oh,
old.
bastards.
So we were the second youngest barbecue team, but we actually won. We got 5th. We got 5th place by stealing our dad's ribs and putting them on our smoker about 20 minutes before the judges came.
Ah, that's classic.
So we won with his ribs, and anyway, that's all we've done that for 30 years. And in 1989, my dad entered a barbecue sauce competition in Kansas City called the American Royal. Michael, you may want to type in the comments. I can't remember what the actual name of it was then, but now it's called the World Series of Barbecue. And the World Series of Barbecue competition came about from a guy named Artie Davis, and he's an author that wrote several cookbooks. He's called Remus Powers, is his that's his like stage name or whatever you want to call it. And he and my dad hit it off really well. And Dad had just won 2nd place in the whole hog division at Memphis in May. It was a 2nd place world champion trophy. And Michael says it was called the Diddy Wah Diddy contest, the Diddy Wah Diddy sauce contest, and has since been renamed to the World Series of Barbecue. But it's been going for 32 years. And I think Dad entered the second one in 1989 with our original sauce. The original recipe won 1st place in the Mid-South flavor or Mid-South category. And we didn't even know that. Like, we found this out after my brother and I entered a contest 2 months ago. Same contest. 30 years later, we enter with our mustard-based gold sauce, and we win 3rd place in the gold or the mustard category for best in the world out of 300. I can't remember. It was 200 or 300 different sauces. And we're at my mom's house after we knew we won 3rd place and we got the trophy and everything, or the ribbon. It's a big ribbon sent to us. And we start going through some old newspaper clippings and stuff at my mother's house. And we find this one, and it's 30 years minus, give or take a month or so to the date. My dad had won the first or the second one, and that was just really cool. We didn't even know, like, we had no idea. We knew the guy. We entered the contest on a whim just to see, like, we knew it was one of my dad's friends and everything. And that's the coolest thing about it is when Dad was winning competitions, there was no internet. Like, record keeping on this stuff was terrible. So, if you don't have like the local newspaper clip or the actual trophy sitting on a shelf somewhere, it's hard to find and know all this stuff. And then as we've gotten deeper in promoting our product and learning more about what our dad did when we were young, the more we're finding out. And it's really cool because we just submitted Dad to be in the World Series of Barbecue Hall of Fame.
Damn.
And we got down to the final 9. And so I was telling Alec earlier before we were on air, Michael and I actually were on a live podcast a couple of weeks ago called the Barbecue Central Show. And the Barbecue Central Show is just a podcast that interviews like people like Myron Mixon and Big Mo Kaysen and some of these bigger names that you would see on like Pitmaster shows and stuff like that. So we got to be on the show and tell a little bit about our history and everything and spread the word. And it was, it was really an honor. Dad didn't make the final class, but he's also not out of the running. So he's in the running for 2020. And I think maybe a couple more years, and we can continue campaigning for him to be known as in the Hall of Fame as a champion posthumously in their legends category. He would be in there with Henry Ford and Rich Davis. And Henry Ford, just a little bit of history here. Henry Ford is in the Barbecue Hall of Fame. Yes, the Henry Ford from Ford Motor Company. Because he kind of popularized and commercialized charcoal briquettes. And that's where the Kingsford yes. The Kingsford Company came from Ford Motor Company. They would use wood in their interiors and, lots of scroll saws and detailed cuts and inlays of wood. So they had a lot of scrap wood that they would burn, and they also used the wood to burn for energy, to make the plant run, like coal-based. And so they had an abundance of coal, and Henry Ford and I think his brother-in-law, if I remember the story correctly, started packaging it and selling it as a fuel for cooking, and that's where Kingsford charcoal came from. So
wow, there's a little bit of trivia for you.
I didn't know that until I was like, wow, my dad could possibly be in the same Hall of Fame as Henry Ford, Rich Davis from Casey Masterpiece, who was a hero of mine when I was a kid, because my dad would tease me because I would eat Casey Masterpiece instead of our sauce when I was a kid, like all the times. I loved it. And Guy Fieri of all. Yeah, it's just a really cool little Hall of Fame, and a lot of bragging rights come with it, and it's just really cool. It was such an honor, and so we're going to shoot for it again next year, and we're still selling our products. Michael and I actually just found out today that a local grocer chain here in Arkansas that's pretty big has about 90 to 100 stores in Arkansas, Southeast Missouri, Oklahoma. They've given us the keys to the castle, so to speak. They're going to let us try to run about 20 stores to begin with, and in eastern Arkansas and southeast Missouri. And then, as we kind of grow and can distribute and move products in those areas, the idea is that they will pick up distribution so that we can, haul it to Springdale, Arkansas, which is where their
distribution center is.
Yeah, and then they'll distribute, so we don't have to beat the highway up. Because we distribute every single jar. It's either me, Michael, Jeff, or Aaron. And we do it on the weekends. Sometimes we do it on our lunch breaks locally.
Oh, God.
And so we're always hustling. And it would be nice to not have to hustle like that.
Yeah. Let me, I got to thank a couple super chats. We got KB for $10, says, Alec, I like your intelligent, no BS approach to producing quality Star Trek entertainment that respects the franchise. Thank you. That's something we all strive for. So it is our approach, really. It's not just mine, but thank you very much, KB. Appreciate that. Perry Ford, $5 super chat, says, KB, ditto. So thank you very much, guys. We appreciate those super chats as always. Listen, as many of you know, if you're going to give us a super chat for $20 or more, don't give it on YouTube because they take 30%. Send it to us at PayPal, Aries Studios ATL at gmail.com. That's our PayPal. And if you do that, I send you out a graphic novel, Marvel or DC graphic novel. So I know I just sent out one someone's graphic novel. I let him choose. I've got 2 more to ship. Yeah, so anyway, there we go. I wanted to mention that. So now let's, as far as barbecue goes, so first of all, I got to tell you, my first introduction to barbecue was when I first moved down to Chapel Hill, North Carolina for law school back in 1984. And they had outside, it was one of the first weeks we were at school, they had a pig picking. And they were like, my friends, my southern friends, because like I was one of the token Yankees, right? I mean, back then, we're talking 30 years ago, 35 years ago, it was mostly southern kids who got in. I, was one of the rare out-of-staters that got in. And my friends were like, Alec, do you like barbecue? And I'm like, barbecued what? Right? Because when you said barbecue, up in New York, we didn't have barbecue. We barbecued stuff. Barbecue was a verb. You barbecued, right? Oh, we're going to have a barbecue and we're going to barbecue hamburgers and franks and chicken. That was, or ribs even, right? But, that was what you did. I was like, barbecued what? They were like, barbecue. I'm like, barbecued what? It was like a comedy sketch. And they're like, no, barbecue. And they showed me what it was. And that was, I remember it was set up outside on the basketball courts. I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And it was barbecued pork. But that's North Carolina. So I know that barbecue means something entirely different down in Texas. So where is, in Texas, barbecue is beef, right?
Yep.
So where is that between North Carolina where it's pork and Texas where it's beef? How does that divide across the South?
I think there's just a real hard line in Texarkana. Literally, like Louisiana, Texarkana, then Texas, and they're weird. They're weird cows, and no, just kidding. Dad used to say that God gave the Texans mesquite wood because he knew that their ground was too poor to grow hickory, and we use hickory to smoke pork. So I think that
interesting.
That may have had something to do with it. But I do enjoy a brisket, a good brisket. But I tell you what, I don't ever want to compete in a brisket competition ever again.
Why is that?
It's just too damn hard, man. It's so hard to do. Michael and I won a contest last weekend in Brooklyn, Arkansas. He won the chicken division and I won the pulled pork division. And that's, we're fairly confident in those 2 positions. And beef brisket, man, it's one of those things that you'll either conquer it or it will conquer you. And right now it has conquered me several times. And I'm just, yeah. Brisket's hard. I leave it to the Texans.
Yeah.
They do a good job. But when it comes to pork, I've run a pretty good competition against anybody. And, we're just getting started with all that.
So Trey McElwain says, Axanar Comics says, nothing beats Texas barbecue.
It's pretty good, Trey.
With Quisenberry barbecue sauce all the way. And Herb Blumman says, damn it, I'm late. Are we talking barbecue? I'll have to do a replay later. Yes, we are talking barbecue with the king of Arkansas barbecue, Lee Quisenberry, who's also one of our art directors. And him and his brother have a company that does barbecue sauce, which is called Quisenberry barbecue sauce. What's
Jim Quessenberry Sauce Beautiful.
And I always say Quisenberry. It's pronounced
Quisenberry. Two hard S's. Quess. Quest. Like guess, but with a Q.
Oh, Quisenberry. Okay, yeah. Got it.
That's no big deal. I've been called Quasimodo, Queensberry. I answer to pretty much any of them, as long as you don't call me an a-hole.
Tell us about the Star Trek comic book covers that are behind you.
My good friend Aaron found those at a yard sale. Let me
give you a
little tour here. I don't know if you can see it, but I can't see my own camera.
No, you got them, and they look like 3D relief.
Yeah, they're little pressed tins. A lady down the street from my house was selling them at a yard sale. And,
Wow, that's great.
they're pretty cool. You know, up above that, you guys can't see it, but I have a picture of Ansel Adams taking a picture. It says it's an original Apple Think Different advertisement.
Oh yeah,
from way back.
Yep, right. But, way back. That was in the 90s.
Yeah, and I've got a wall of video games and a few of my little bips and boops and bops collectible bobbleheads. I've got a welded together Enterprise. All kinds of cool stuff. This is kind of my office / junk room / playroom / whatever. It's a mess, but I enjoy the occasional wall art, little tins and stuff like that. I was going to say there was somebody. Let's see. Let me look back through the comments really quick. I had an answer for somebody, and I'm trying to roll back. I think Michael answered about the baked beans in the chat. My mother. You're talking about the different areas across the South.
Right.
Okay, so here's a layman's guide to the styles of barbecue as it relates to pork in itself. Generally in South Carolina, away from the coast, and the northern part of Georgia, you're going to have a lot of mustard-based sauces. That's kind of a traditional thing in that area and throughout South Carolina. North Carolina, you're going to have you're going to have a mix match of some of that, but the sauces tend to be a little thinner and heavy on the vinegar. So in North Carolina, you're going to get a very kind of a tart, savory mix of flavors. And the closer you get through the west of Georgia, let's say Alabama is known for their white barbecue sauce, which is a horseradish mayonnaise base with lemon juice. At least our version of it is. I think the group that made it famous would be Big Bob Gibson's in Decatur, Alabama. Good friends of ours, Chris Lilly, jokingly used to be called the Lance Armstrong of barbecue until Lance Armstrong was not cool to be Lance Armstrong anymore from juicing up. We used to tease him because he injected his butts with a marinade. This is not something that we used to do traditionally when we would cook. And but anyway, he's won Memphis in May like, I don't know, a dozen times. It's unreal. He's like a 12-time world champion. He's amazing. But they've kind of made white barbecue sauce famous. And then Mississippi is known for a sauce called the Mississippi Comeback Sauce, which is basically like a remoulade from the Cajuns in Louisiana. So it's kind of I don't know how to explain it. Then you got Memphis barbecue sauce, which is heavy on the kind of molasses and brown sugars and stuff. And Kansas City, you've got some smoke in the Memphis flavor. Kansas City and St. Louis have their own kind of flavor that's, to me, a variation of Memphis style. And then in the long shadow of Memphis, you've got what Michael and I consider a Arkansas style of barbecue sauce, which is kind of a blend. You got sweet, you got savory. Our sauce has chili powder in it to give it a little bite. So, that's it. I mean, every state in the South pretty much has their own kind of flavor. And over towards Nashville, they're really known for their hot sauces and hot chicken. They do even fried chicken. They have hot fried chicken in Nashville. That's what they're known for. It's not necessarily barbecue, but that's kind of what they're famous for. So it varies from state to state. Michael and I cover pretty much all of the ones that we've experienced. I lived in North Carolina for a while, and then I've got a lot of friends from South Carolina that cook, and so we decided to make a gold sauce, and hey, we turned that sucker in and got third place in the world. So, and we're from Arkansas.
Not bad. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna a couple of things here. So Herb Bluntman says just finished dinner and got distracted by the Young Turks, and getting into it with some troll commenters. Hey, Bluntman, I've listened to Young Turks. They're good. Pod Save America is way better. That's my opinion. So I don't know if you do podcasts, but for my long trips, I listen to both of those, and I found Pod Save America to be better because it's the guy on Young Turks just screams too much, and I'll find that a little annoying. So Michael Sean Carter says, like an Axanar bar and grill. Yes, how cool would that be? Axanar bar and grill. I will mention before that when you mentioned Axanar.com, the story which I've told before is that I didn't even know Axanar.com was available. And one of the haters posted, oh, hey, Axanar.com is up for auction, online. We should all get it and then post, defamatory stuff about Alec on it. Typical haters, right? Idiots.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I just thought you got lucky and found it.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
So, no, I found it because of the haters. I didn't even know it was available. So the haters said that, and of course, half of them, can't even rub two nickels together. So I went in and put a $20 something $100 bid on it, like $2,400, $2,800. I forget what. Nice. And I got it for like $800 or $400. I got it for something ridiculously cheap, and I was like, oh, they didn't even make an effort. So so that's really good. So so Axanar.com, we can make Axanar anything. So I love the idea of an Axanar bar and grill.
Somebody mentioned Gok. We could pull that off. I mean,
Gok
what
sauce.
do we do? What do we do? Just sear a little hamburger meat a little bit on one side and make sure. It's safe to eat.
I think Gok needs to be like a shredded beef tartare, right?
That's kind of what I was going for. I went with ground beef, but shredded beef tartare. Yeah, we can do
something like that, or almost like because I don't know if you want to do a raw ground beef, but because beef tartare needs to be a little better quality, right?
Right. Yeah.
But there you go. There's your thing, and so
frog eyes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So all right, let's see. Oh, Jerry, and I'm just getting messages from Jerry Ablin, who's working on Aries Digital tonight. I need to. Oh my God, I have. This is a great. Jerry, our chief technology officer from when I had AuctionWorks, my technology company that I built up. He's been working on Aries Digital, and so I was like, can we please work tonight on Aries Digital and get it finished off so we can post, so we can get it up? And he said, after dinner. I'm like, well, what are you having for dinner? He's like, a 1 pound hamburger. So he had a pound of ground beef that was like towards its expiration date. So he sent me this photo. He's got a 1 pound hamburger, and I'm going to have to call it up and post it for you guys because it's hysterical. It's huge. And he's got this tiny little bun on his 1 pound hamburger. So, too bad too bad he's we can't send him some barbecue sauce. But I will absolutely send this image to you because you'll appreciate it. So all right, so let's outside of barbecue. So what? Okay, so you've been working on. We had some problems with our website recently, and you jumped in there and fixed them. There's a couple other things I'll be talking to you about. But the website is doing great. The website's doing great. And people, we're going to start using the website as a hub. So Aries Digital will be on our website. So you'll just click right off of our web. It's all going to be hosted together at GoDaddy. So Aries Digital will be a link right there. So you and I need to talk about just how we're going to do that. And then the fundraising platform, the white label Kickstarter, that is built for WordPress. I think I've already installed that. You and I need to talk about that because we need to get that up and running because that's going to be what we use for fundraising for Axanar. And as Stogie told me yesterday, and he was, this morning he said to me that one of the things he liked was he was like blown away how fast we raised $23,000 basically. And he says, oh, that makes me feel better about the fundraiser we're going to do for Axanar. And I'm like, yeah, considering how many views we have on YouTube and the comment, we just need to, it just needs to be marketed the right way. We need to get all those people on our email list. And so I think we'll do pretty well. So the cool thing will be that the fundraising platform will be part of Aries Digital. So you'll log into Aries Digital and then be able to donate right there. And then your information will be, everything will be right there on Aries Digital, which will be right on our website. So I'm really excited about that because that's going to make our lives a lot easier. Jerry sent me the CSV file, which for those of you out there, CSV is like it's kind of like it's a database basically, right?
Yeah.
Right. It's a fancy Excel spreadsheet, and you can export it as an Excel document, which I do. And by the way, I got to ask you I'll ask Jerry, but I'll ask you, is there an easy way for us to eliminate duplicate entries on a CSV file? Because what we need to do is we need to take all the donors from that CSV file, and a lot of them have given multiple times, eliminate all the duplicates, and then post that list of names on the website, because that was one of the perks, was your name on the website. So we got to figure that out.
I got a guy. His name's Michael. Michael Quessenberry is one of our database administrators.
Oh, he can.
I could do it. He could do it faster.
Okay, good. We'll get Michael.
I just volunteered him. We'll figure it out tomorrow.
Yeah, you hear that, Michael? You've been volunteered.
He's in the pub, but I'm going to let him know.
He's in the pub?
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. Warpig Connor says, that's easy, Alec. So I guess Warpig Connors is maybe you're a database administrator. I don't know. Just reading some of the comments here. So Michael says, join BBQ Central Show live chat tomorrow for laughs. James Bell says, Lee, have you ever been to Paris, Tennessee?
Yep, I've been to Paris, Tennessee. I've driven all the way across Tennessee, from Memphis to Bristol, and I've seen everything in between.
Well, we finally stopped in Memphis the other day when we were coming back from Oklahoma, and when after we had seen you, and we stopped in, and Memphis was cool. That was a cute little town, It's really cool because I love all the gentrified southern downtowns. I love all the, even way 35 years ago back in Durham, North Carolina, they were doing that to some of the old, all the old tobacco plants, the old textile mills, all those wonderful brick buildings, right? And they would take them and they turned them into lofts. And Brightleaf Square was the one, I'll never forget it, down there in Durham. And I love that stuff. And the South does that so well. And Memphis is one of those little towns. It's really, really cool. What else? I'm just looking to see what comments other people have. Lynn Marie says, you don't need to be a DB to handle CSVs. Probably not, but you need to know what you're doing, which I do not. So it'll be good to have someone who does know what they're doing. Okay. Lee, well, that was you. So we will take care of that. Bob Lum, you're in Canada. I love my friends in Canada. Or Canuckistan. Let me tell you, the best pro sporting event I ever went to in my life was a Vancouver Canucks game in Vancouver when I was up there working on Battlestar Galactica. Because it was just like, coming from North Carolina, college basketball is, that's the religion down there. And so you go to a game down there in the Carmichael Auditorium where Michael Jordan played, or the Dean Dome, which is for the last 35 years been their home. And those things are rocking events and people are crazy and it's loud and pro sports are different. It's a very different feel in pro sports. it's not quite as passionate, right? I mean, like I like going to a baseball game once a year, wherever. Just go once a year, sit, get decent seats, sit, get a beer and get a hot dog and enjoy yourself, right? Especially in LA because the weather's always so nice during baseball season and there's palm trees and it's cool. But Vancouver Canucks game was the most raucous, fun, crazy pro sporting event I ever been to. You just couldn't help getting caught up in the enthusiasm and the yelling and the screaming, and it was awesome. Plus, I'm a huge hockey fan. But you got to go to. If you've never been to a hockey game, people, you need to go to a hockey game. Don't watch it on TV. It's like soccer; just does not work on TV. Hockey does not work on TV. You go to a hockey game, and it's a totally different experience. And up there in Canada, boy, they know how to watch hockey. That is something special. Let me see what else we have to say. Bob Lum says thank you from Canada. Someone's giving me instructions on Alec. Just import the CSV into Excel and sort it by name. Yeah, but how do see? Like, okay, but then I don't know how to delete the duplicate. So I'm just going to let Lee here do it. Him and Michael can do it tomorrow. What else we got? A couple of people are talking about Joe Rogan. I've never listened to Joe Rogan. Is it a podcast or is it a video cast? But so many people talk well of Joe Rogan. So that's something I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to check it out.
I advise it. I like Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
I watch.
A lot of people do.
Yeah.
And he seems to be kind of nonpartisan, right?
Yeah, he goes. He's had everybody from Jack from Twitter to Tim Pool from Timcast to he's had Alex Jones on making a fool of himself. He's had he's got the crazies from both sides. It's really awesome. He's got flat earthers. He's got any
Don't get me
vice.
started on the flat earthers.
Dude, it's so funny, though, because, he will give them their 15 minutes on a soapbox and listen to them. And that's what's cool about Joe Rogan is just people want to say, well, he's leftist. He's far right. He's alt-right. He's none of those.
Right. That's what people tell me.
He's none of those and everything all at the same time. So it's pretty cool. I like watching Joe Rogan. My favorite character that he has recurring is Theo Vaughn from the comedian from Louisiana. If you haven't watched Theo Vaughn, that dude is insanely funny, and he has the most bizarre stories of growing up in the swamps in Cajun, Louisiana. It's absolutely hilarious.
Zara from the UK says, you Americans are so difficult to understand. No, we're not. It's you Brits who are so hard to understand, Zara. You guys, we got to teach you how to speak English. Just kidding.
Just run your record player at half speed, and it sounds American.
We probably talk too fast. By the way, I mentioned on Facebook today. Today is the 21st anniversary of the release of Armageddon, which is my favorite guilty pleasure movie. I absolutely love Armageddon. I think it's hysterical. It is. Dude, it is like Michael Bay at his most obnoxious. It's like Michael Bay on 11, right? It's like it's the music video, moving camera, loud music, over the top. It's just
who didn't want to be AJ? I was a teenager when that came out, and I think I watched it in the theater 3 times, and I was just and a huge crush on Liv Tyler, obviously, and everybody. That's when I was my 2 favorite actors at the time probably haven't changed much are Ben Affleck and Keanu Reeves. And that hasn't really changed too much. I don't know if that's sad or if that's just me sticking with my guns.
That's good. No. Yeah. Michael Sean Carter says Harry Stamper. Raymond Moore says he prefers Deep Impact. I don't think that's an either or choice, and I know they both came out at the same time, the same summer. Here's the thing about Deep Impact. It's a very different movie, right? It's a lot more serious sci-fi people, character-driven look, right? So it's a very, very different movie with a totally different feel. Yeah, I never compare the two. I love them both. I like Deep Impact a lot also. So, I love Armageddon. There's just so much to love about that movie, just because it's so obvious in the way it does things, right? The action, and also that was the Russian actor who plays Lev. That was his big breakout role, right?
Yep.
That was his big breakout role. That's when he really hit the
Russian components, American components, all made in Taiwan.
Yeah, I know. He was great. He was so great. But that, listen, and that was what I love about Armageddon. I was talking to Paul Jenkins about Axanar, to bring it back to Axanar a little, about this. We were talking structure. And as we were talking structure, I was saying, if you look at Star Wars has different, in each of the acts, there's big action scenes, or big, like the whole battle when they're escaping the Death Star, right? Like that's a really intense little action scene. Armageddon is like that. Armageddon keeps throwing shit at you, right? And so it just keeps building. I mean, it's the space shuttles. Well, first of all, it's everything on the Russian space station, right? And that's like intense. And how do you get the fuck out of there? That whole scene. Then you're in the planet and you got the space shuttles trying to land on the. That's an intense scene. And then it just keeps rolling and keeps rolling. And I appreciate the intensity of the entire, the entire movie. It's just one nonstop ass kicking action movie, and I love it, and I like that Michael Bay. I always used to say, after Star Trek Nemesis, I used to go around saying, what Star Trek needs? Michael Bay. Meaning, we needed, you look at a Michael Bay movie and it's meant for, the new generations. It's right, and that's what Star Trek needs. We got JJ instead, close enough, right? Close enough.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm going to read a couple comments here. We got Ben Affleck fans here.
Yay, I brought him out.
I guess there was actually I was told today by someone commented on my Facebook feed, up until this year, there was an actual ride at Disney Paris based on Armageddon. And it was basically highlighting on-set special effects. So you were actually in the Russian space station as it was blowing up. And there was so very, very interesting. I never knew about that.
That's neat.
And Axanar's visual effects supervisor, Adam Howard, was one of the main guys who worked on Armageddon.
Very cool.
Yeah. Max Waller says Star Wars and Star Trek are losing their interest and probably jumped the shark. I think Star Wars. I think they're both just. I think both Star Wars and Star Trek have morphed into different things. They're not what they were, and this isn't a value judgment. For whatever reasons, they're morphing into things that are different than what we grew up with them, right? And I think that's natural. I think the kind of failure of Han Solo or Solo at the box office is less a statement of the quality of the movie, which everyone who's seen it, I haven't seen it, said it was pretty good, and more a statement of, well, you're moving from, 3 movies and build up every year and a half, 2 years for the next movie to movie, and some are going to hit and some are going to miss.
And you can only live on nostalgia for so long.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I didn't have a problem with Solo. I liked it. It's I come from a diehard Terminator fan base, so anything sets the bar higher than the last few iterations of the Terminator series. And so when I saw Solo and everybody's like, well, it's not Harrison Ford, I'm like, yeah. Do you know how many freaking John Connors there are? There's like a dozen at least.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really have issue with that. Like, I thought Solo was a cool standalone movie, and I really enjoyed it. And they got my ticket money and my popcorn money, and I had a blast. Enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Just
And,
watched it, and
and that's cool. Listen, and Smokey Mirror says Solo was okay. It's just that Rogue One set the bar so high. And I
Rogue
agree.
One was great.
Rogue One was amazing. Dirty
Yeah,
Dozen in
loved
space.
it.
I loved it.
Loved
I
it.
love that movie. You know, it just it was just a great movie, and that's one of those movies I can pick up and look and find something interesting again and go, oh yeah, it was just such a good movie. Which you know, it is clearly the best Star Wars movie since Return of the Jedi. And
I agree.
You can argue whether it's better than Return of the Jedi. I think it is. I literally put it. I mean, I think if you're talking quality, it's probably third.
Rogue Squadron.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the best Nintendo 64 game ever.
A lot of people
Michael
love. Yeah, a
Fred.
lot of people love that. But yeah. So, but we're not always going to get. You know, we're going to get. Listen, whatever the next Star Wars movie is, the next JJ, right? Which is what's the new one called? What's the new Star Wars movie called? Episode 9.
Well, fireworks are going off. I'm sorry about that.
The Rise of Skywalker.
That's
Right?
it.
The Rise of Skywalker. Okay. Whatever that is, it's highly doubtful it's going to be as good as Rogue One. Now, obviously, Force Awakens was wildly successful. You know, I think and you know, it's just timing. And JJ does a very good job of, even though his movies don't make sense a lot of time, he does a very good job of pulling all the right heartstrings, which is what that movie did, right?
Yeah.
It gave you all the emotional little bits that you wanted, right? But you know, it's not a great movie. I'm sorry. You know, it's, what is it? The third biggest grossing movie of all time, or fourth, or something like that. $2 billion. Look, God bless, man. You kicked ass. I'm sure you got paid hundreds of millions of dollars for that. It's not a good movie, and it's just a remake of A New Hope. Okay? There's so many plot holes in this movie. There's so much stuff that makes absolutely no sense. And Stephen Hughes gives us $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Any truth to the rumor Garth tangled with one of those doomsday machines before Kirk? No, that's interesting idea, but no. But anyway, so I have my expectations for the next Star Wars movie are, it's going to be better than The Last Jedi, which sucked, but I don't expect it to be better than Force Awakens. But hey, Force Awakens was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
My expectations are low.
I meI'm going to fork over the cash to watch the Top Gun sequel, even though I know it's going to be absolute garbage.
I'll tell you. Listen, what's the last movie Tom Cruise did that sucked?
I don't know, but American Made is an amazing movie. Have you seen that movie?
I have. It is an amazing movie. It is an amazing movie. Listen, here's the thing about Tom Cruise. You know, and this is why people say, "Oh, the Picard series is going to suck." I say, no, it's not, because Patrick Stewart's not going to let it suck. He's too smart, right? And that's the same thing with Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise doesn't do bad movies. He may do you know, you can argue which Mission Impossible movies are just okay, right? But he doesn't do bad movies. I just saw this morning, we saw Vanilla Sky because Crystal woke me up at 3 a.m. and I couldn't get back to sleep. So I was like, click, click, click. Oh, Vanilla Sky. Okay, let's watch this. And it was interesting. It was really good. I didn't even know about that. When it was like a Tom Cruise movie. I never even heard of this movie. Yeah, it was all right. It wasn't bad. But again, when was the last time Tom Cruise did a bad movie? He doesn't, because he's Tom Cruise. He has so much control. You want Tom Cruise in your movie better freaking rock, because he's not gonna be in something bad, right? So, Top Gun 2, I'm guessing it's going to be pretty good, right?
You know, Harold Faltermeyer is doing the soundtrack.
Is he really?
Yep, I read that the other day. Maybe fact check me on that, but I think I read like a Screen Rant or something article the other day that they were going back with him as the for the score. So
Yeah, that would be awesome. A couple comments. Silver Bullet 1620 says, but Alex, Star Trek Picard has terrible uniforms, which I agree. They look like fan film uniforms.
I guess I haven't seen them. Where have I been, under a rock?
Oh, that was a special scene that was released at like some film event. It wasn't.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, so we were talking about, a couple of people talk about Kurosawa. Well, yeah, Kurosawa's a genius, right? The famous Japanese director. Yeah, he has a dozen masterpieces, and you can just keep, no one can, Rashomon, Yojimbo, Seven Samurai. You can't argue with, right? The guy's a genius. If he did a movie, it was pretty damn good. It's kind of like Stanley Kubrick, right? What's the bad Stanley Kubrick movie? There aren't any bad Stanley Kubrick movies. And the genius of Stanley Kubrick is that every one of his movies is so different. I mean, the first Stanley Kubrick movie I saw after 2001, because I saw that in the theaters when I was whatever, was Paths of Glory. Kirk Douglas, right? Black and white, World War I movie. Amazing, amazing movie. Didn't appreciate it when I was a kid, and now you see that movie and you're going, holy crap. Stanley Kubrick was a genius. He never did anything bad, and that's my point about Tom Cruise. These guys, Tom Hanks, right? They're at the top of the game. They pick and choose. They decide what they're going to do. They don't have to pick a movie that they're not sure about. And they only get pitched brilliant projects. So, the stuff they're not picking are good projects, is my guess. Anyway, that's my little. But I am looking forward to Top Gun 2 for sure. Dr. Strangelove, someone says, Full Metal Jacket. There you go. I mean, Stanley Kubrick is all over the map in the best way possible. Michael Sean Carter is saying The World's Fastest Indian. I'm hearing that's really good. A couple of people have mentioned it to me. Edge of Tomorrow. Look, I loved Edge of Tomorrow. That is a great movie, and people bitch about the title, that's fine. The title's okay with me. That's a great movie. I went back and watched it. It was on TV. I watched it again. I was like, oh man, this is such a good movie, right? It's one of those, it's that whole Groundhog Day thing, but man, they certainly kick ass with it. It's really impressive. Kubrick, Barry Lyndon. Yeah. Right, again, Stanley Kubrick is like there aren't too many of those guys. Stanley Kubrick, Kurosawa, David Lean, right? David Lean, Dr. Zhivago, Lawrence of Arabia, Passage to India, Bridge over the River Kwai. Dude, the guy doesn't do bad movies, right? Listen, Spielberg, I think he's one notch below those guys. We're getting off on a rant here, but I think he's just a little bit. I don't put him in the same category as Kurosawa or Kubrick, who are or Lean, who are just true visionaries in what they do. Kubrick is just a little notch below that, but still brilliant. Because
I kind of feel like Spielberg is like Babe Ruth. Like, yeah, he hit a lot of home runs, but how many swinging aways? You know what I mean? Like, quantity versus quality. Because I think Spielberg's name's been thrown around for a lot of projects that if I were Steven Spielberg, I wouldn't want my name on them.
Yeah, listen, there are projects he does that are not epic, right? That are just, or AI, right? I'm sure we could come up with a list. But then you get Saving Private Ryan. You get Lincoln, movie. Right? I mean, or Jaws or Indiana Jones. I mean, you can't deny his body of work. It's brilliant.
Right.
Spielberg is brilliant, right? He's great. But I think your point is very well taken. There's a lot. It's a much bigger, broader. I don't know how many films Kubrick or Kurosawa, or David Lean did, but not as many as Spielberg. So you could certainly argue the other side of that and say, well, Spielberg's done so many movies, of course he's going to have more chances to miss. Listen,
and more power to him.
He's still
he's
brilliant.
Doing what he loves.
He's still brilliant, right?
He's the great Bambino.
Yes, he is. We're talking. Sorry, Disney Star Wars is trash without George, just like CBS and Paramount without Gene. They don't care about their fans. Thank God for Axanar, real Star Trek. Believe Gene would be proud. I'm sure Gene would be proud of what we're all doing here. Thank you very much for that. Listen, I don't want to be too hard on Disney for Star Wars without George, because listen, George is the one who got us the prequels, right? I will agree with you that the stewardship of the Star Wars franchise, Kathy Kennedy has not done a good job. And part of that was the directors she started picking for all these films. Great, good. JJ for Star Wars for the first one, Force Awakens. You can't argue with that selection, right? You saw what he did with Star Trek. You knew what you're getting, and it was successful. Great. But then all the directors that they started picking, and some of them got fired, that crop of new directors, whose names, I'm not smart enough to have them all at the top of my head, but the guys that were coming up that were doing these movies, and they were giving these young directors a Star Wars movie. It's like, whoa, just because they had one hit after they did an independent movie, they had one hit, and then you're like, let's give them the keys to the kingdom. No, if I was Star Wars, I would have been like, who's going to direct the next Star Wars movies? Okay, you want JJ? Okay, well, can we get Steven Spielberg to direct one of them?
Right?
Yeah. Can you get and listen, one of my best friends, his partners with Bill Condon, who did Dreamgirls, Beauty and the Beast. He's not the right guy because that's not his right. He's more the musical guy. He's brilliant, but that's what you need, a guy of that caliber, but a guy who can do action, right? I would have been looking at those big names, McTiernan, someone who's done and proven that they can, even Michael Bay, whatever. Find the guys who can do those big pieces, and those are the guys they should have been hiring, not the guys that. So my problem is with Kathy Kennedy.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that they wanted to try to diversify Star Wars too much, to bring in more than Star Wars would already bring in a lot of people anyway, but I feel like they went a little far out there in trying to diversify each film to set itself apart. And I think when you do that, and you do, like you're talking about, hire relatively new directors, they're going to go to what's comfortable, and it really shows in the what's the name of the first trilogy, the first Daisy Ridley film.
That was The Force Awakens.
Force Awakens. It just was color by numbers. To A New Hope, and I don't know if that's because J.J. Abrams just didn't give it his all, or I don't know. It just seemed like the rest of the movies that followed behind it were too afraid to step out of the shadows of the original movies, and they tried too hard to end up being lackluster.
Yeah, and that's why Rogue One is so good, is because it told us a different story. A story we knew existed, but we didn't know, and it's just like Axanar, right? It's a story we knew there, but they've just filled it out and honored the canon. So we're going to have to wrap it up, guys. I'm just going to read some. Michael Sean Connor says John Milius, yes, who did my favorite movie, Wind and the Lion, with Sean Connery and Candice Bergen. Some other comments. Talking about great directors. Jon Favreau. Someone said that the guy who did Oblivion is directing Top Gun 2. Oblivion was a good movie. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Oblivion. Yeah, it was good. It was good enough. Jon Favreau. Yeah, Jon Favreau is doing good stuff. All right. All right, we're gonna wrap it up now because we've gone over an hour, and I try and keep these things to an hour. Lee, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thank you.
It's great as always. Next week, everyone, I'm trying to do Alexander Richardson, who is in England, so we're going to tape it beforehand. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. as always, thank you very much for last night. Thank you for those of you who gave us super chat donations. Last night was awesome. Thank you everyone who participated in last night. Next week, same time, same channel. You got it. We will see you then. And in the meantime, thank you to Lee Quisenberry. Michael Quisenberry, thank you for the work you're going to do for me on my CSV file tomorrow. And everyone in the audience, all our favorites and our regulars, thank you so much. Thank you, Trey. Thank you, Jonathan Lane. Thank you, Stogie, of course. Michael Sean Connor, Michael Weir, Val, all of you. We love you so much. And I'm working away on Axanar. I'll have more to tell you next week. And until then, everyone, live long and prosper. We will see you next week. Take care.
All right. See you guys.